So I had started, Dennis, you haven't been around. Actually, I forget. Dennis has been doing his own. He's been on the Adam Gold show. He's been gallivanting. You had a birthday while
Yeah, birthday back on Sunday.
Happy birthday.
I was sick last week. Still feeling a little bit.
Well, that's why there's glass between the host and producer studio. So I started a few of the last, 5 or 6 shows with basically just getting ahead of it and going, hey, everybody, nothing crazy in the NHL. Because it seems like at the end of every show I'm leaving it with, and if there's a big move, we'll be ready to break it down tomorrow. So you just get ahead of it, right? You start the show almost before the big 3 at 3 with Canes haven't made a big trade. There's no giant dominoes falling across the NHL. But there's little moves. And then we would go into, like a Matt Duchene level signing or the Kane trade or whatever happened. There were a few of those moves, but it does feel like the Noah Dobson trade, which happened earlier today. Noah Dobson from the Islanders, 25-year-old right-handed defenseman, good player, traded to the Montreal. There we go. Got to make sure I got it all right. It wasn't the rumor that I was reporting, it was what actually happened. So he's traded to Montreal, and as part of that move, agreed to an 8-year, $9.5 million annual value extension with Montreal. The compensation being the 16th and 17th pick in today's draft. Emil Heineman, young player, 60 games this year, 10 goals, something like that. Which, by the way, reminder, the Islanders also have the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
So, right now they have, I think it's 9 total picks, including 1, 16, and 17 in the first round, and a relatively middle-of-the-pack second. That's a lot of draft capital. That's a move. That's one that matters. That's a team where Montreal is trying to, you're establishing your intentions, right? This was a move that they were doing to get better, and this was also the Islanders saying, we need something different, right? Where we're going to, I think they're almost trading for currency. Those picks were like trade chips, right? Give us more trade chips and we trust ourselves to go turn it into more value than Noah Dobson, particularly at the money he was asking. Everything else that's happened thus far, I think, is in preparation for moves. Okay? Things like Trent Frederick being locked up to an 8-year, $3.85, I think it was, million average annual value with Edmonton. Things like John Tavares staying in Toronto on a 4-year, $4 and change million average annual value contract. These are moves to set up their moves, if that makes any sense. This is, we need to know what we need and what we don't need. We need to know, all right, are we replacing this guy, or are we planning to have him around and building in part around this guy? And that's what all the moves have been up until the Noah Dobson move. And by the way, that's kind of the order they went. So I think now it has begun. Now the NHL offseason, it's real, okay? Now people are starting to put their chips. Bidding wars are starting to be settled. Teams are going to start making the intentioned moves rather than we want to keep all of our options or we want to know what we're shopping for moves. These are the ones that are going to start getting real. And with the draft tonight, some of those moves are going to have to be done before tonight, because if you're trading a pick, a first-round pick, they're going to want to make it. So they're going to want to know what player is being chosen.
So with the draft starting this evening, 7 o'clock, it's like now you can't sit around and think about it and debate it anymore. Mm-hmm. Either you do it or you don't. And you mentioned the Noah Dobson trade getting picks 16 and 17 from Montreal. There's a lot of teams, including the New York Islanders themselves, that want to trade up and get James Higgins, who's actually from Long Island, probably to move into pick 4 or 5 to draft this young guy. A guy that could step in and play for you right away as a center, but at least amongst your forwards can play right away. But also, not only is the Islanders looking to do that, Pittsburgh has picks 11 and 12. Mm-hmm. Do they try and move up to get Higgins, a young player that they can build around? The Islanders are looking at today going, hey, we're going to get Matthew Schaefer, number 1 overall, who basically fills the spot of Noah Dobson, the guy we traded away, and we might be able to get James Higgins as well, another guy that can step in and play for us right away. They might be looking, we're going to get younger, faster, and less expensive all at the same time. Islanders making some moves, which is a team. How does that impact Carolina? They're in your division. Mm-hmm. You have to take that into account. And
here's what I mean by now it's begun. Aaron Portzline, who covers The Athletic for NHL Network, tweeted this out. He was told the Islanders wanted Columbus was also in the mix for Noah Dobson. Aaron Portsline says that the Islanders wanted both Columbus first-round picks, which would have been 14 and 20. A roster player, Dmitry Voronkov, was reported by the fourth period, and another piece, a prospect or a later pick, question mark, in exchange for Noah Dobson. They wanted Columbus, essentially, to beat the Montreal offer. Columbus wouldn't. Thus, they took the Canadiens' offer. If the draft wasn't tonight, the Islanders would have kept waiting. They would have kept trying to egg on Columbus to beat the offer. But with the draft being tonight and what Dennis just said, right, they got to go now be bidders in a different bidding war, potentially. They had to get their picks. They had to know what they had, so they accept the offer from Montreal, and you move on to the next order of business. The Canes, in a much lesser immediate need, right? Because they have free agency money. They can solve problems come July 1st. They need to know what bidding wars they want to get in. They need to monitor every situation. That's what today is about. Monitoring every situation and always have your fallback, right? I don't know if this works for the 29th pick. I said this a lot for the Carolina Panthers going into the NFL draft. Have 8 names in front of you in order because they had the 8th overall pick. And that way, you can talk to everybody about every trade. You can talk to everybody about every other situation, but if you need to, you can look down at the paper in front of you and make the selection and come away with a player that you like because you had 8 names in front of you. I guess the same works. Have 29 names in front of you in order, 1 to 29, and if you're playing the game, you're monitoring every situation, you're listening to every deal, you're in the mix and time runs out, you can always look down at the paper in front of you and say, what's the highest player on our list that's available, and you can always pick at 29th. And with the as Dennis said earlier, with the history the Canes have at finding value with picks that seem like, I don't know, what do you get at the 29th pick? Or trading back, and I don't know, what do you get with the 36th pick? They usually find something there. So if you can do that, it's a good day, right? You don't have to walk away with a Noah Dobson. You don't have to walk away with some big, shiny deal. It'd be nice, right? If you get it for a value, if you get it for a price you like, and it improves your team. But if you just walk away today with either a trade back that you feel good about the value and picks you receive for 29, or a good player at the 29th pick, your 16th player on your board, you get him at 29, that's a good day. That might be boring, but that's a good day. And there's still a long offseason to go, fire off the fireworks in other directions. So the deadline is just if picks are involved in the move. You could trade for somebody big time tomorrow if you're trading, one of the 5 first-rounders you have in the 3 drafts most upcoming that aren't today's, or if you're trading prospects or players.
Plus, Carolina has those 2 first-round picks in 2026.
Yep. I mean, they
can use a lot of different stuff today if they wanted to, or just like you said, over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, they could trade those anytime up till 2026.
Yeah.
But if they want to do them today, they could. That's my point. And it's actually today is this to be the holiday for what we've been celebrating all offseason, which is just the Canes have worked very, very hard. And they've been very, very diligent and very, very disciplined with every move they've made over the last 2 or 3 years to get to an offseason like this where the sky is the limit in every direction. Don't ruin it now, right? Be timely, be opportunistic. If you see a move you like, make it, but don't feel like you have to, right? You worked very hard to come to an offseason to have $27+ million in cap space, to have all those first-round picks that Dennis and I just referenced, to have the prospects, to have the core of your team locked in to mostly exceptional, I believe, deals that will age very well. There's no reason for you to go, it's draft day, we have to do something, unless it's something you want to do. And if you really want to make a big move, float Svetch's name out there or something. If you really want to get people riled up, there are ways you can pour a little gasoline on the fire metaphorically. But only if you want to. Nobody pushes around Eric Tulsky is what I'm saying. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I I say this a lot where my son's 4 and I say, like, I want him to be a 5-star recruit in some sport, not because, like, I want to, be the stereotypical parent living through your kids. I'm just so curious about what coaches do to recruit 5-stars. I just want to be in the room and hear what they say. Like, I want a friend who is a GM in the NHL that lets me just be – remember back in the day when you had landlines, one upstairs, one downstairs? You could pick up the other receiver and just listen and not tell any – like, they wouldn't know you're there. I just want to hear Eric Tulsky's negotiating tactics. I never will, but I would love to hear it. I want to play like in a fantasy football league with him, just so I can call up and go, let's make a trade. I've got 2 first-rounders next
fleeced.
year. I want to know. I want to know if in the moment I would know I'm getting fleeced, if I won't find out for till 6 months later. And I'm like, my team is bad. Where did this go wrong? Like I want to. Maybe that might be more possible. Maybe we can get Eric Tulsky in a fantasy football league.
Maybe.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Will someone sponsor that? Huh? Let's get like 6 celebrities, 6 fans, put them in a fantasy football league, not hockey, so he doesn't tip his hand in any way, and we go from there.
I'll be at the Canes media thing for the draft tonight. I'll ask Tulsky. I'll ask him tonight.
I think we might be able to use that question to get some better information.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I think we might be able to save that one for a slower part of the calendar.